This video is a demo on stitch sheets. Make sure that your stitch length is set to 3. That is the bar on the right side. Stitch length are these bottom arrows here. Your stitch width needs to be set to 0, and that is on the left side at the top. And then mine is blinking on 0 already. These arrows control your stitch width. So you want to set stitch length to 3, stitch width to 0 for your machine. Your first sewing stitch sheet is going to be straight line stitching. You are going to load the paper into your machine, lower the presser foot slowly down onto the paper, lining up the black line with the line that's in between the two toes on your presser foot. You will lower the needle down into your paper with your hand wheel. And you are ready to go. You are going to back stitch at the beginning and end of each stitch. That locks in the stitch, and you will always back stitch. You're going to gently press on the foot pedal to make it go forward about 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on most machines, your back stitch is going to be right here close to your take-up lever. And so you will press and your machine will go backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is what is called a back stitch. You will back stitch at the beginning and end of every stitch. Once you back stitch, you can then go forward, going slow by gently pressing on the foot pedal. You're going to stitch down the line all the way to the end, and you're going to try to stop and start where every line begins. I place my hands to the left of the needle and then down, holding the fabric or the paper as I sew. It's a good habit to just keep your fingers out of the way of the needle so that you don't stitch over your finger. Once you get to the end of that line, you must back stitch. And you can use the hand wheel to turn the needle to get to the end of the line, and then remember, press and hold your back stitch button. 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. You can then lift up your presser foot and you can pull out your paper, and you will see that the stitches have marked over the line. You will do each of those lines. Don't forget to back stitch. The next one is going to be working on pivots, and you are going to then line the edge of the presser foot with the edge of the paper. You're going to start where it says begin stitching here, and we're going to work on what's called a pivot. So you're going to back stitch at the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you're going to go down the line to the corner. Just like in basketball, a pivot, you must keep your needle down and into the paper. And that is so that you don't lose your spot when you're sewing. So when you get down to the corner, and I usually do it when I get close, I stop with the foot pedal and I use my hand wheel, and I turn that hand wheel towards myself to keep my needle going until I get safely into the corner. I think one more is good. And I put the needle down into the fabric or paper, and then I can lift up my presser foot and turn my paper. Looks like I could go one more stitch. Never, never, never lift up your presser foot without your needle down into your fabric, or otherwise you will lose a stitch. I might just go one more. All right, so once you pivot, you line up the side of the presser foot with the side of your paper, and you continue on to the next corner. You will do that to this corner, and then you will go all the way up to the end where it says stop stitching here, and you will back stitch. Let me show you your pivot one more time. Needle down, lift up the presser foot, turn your paper, and this one's close enough to kind of veer back over, okay? I would continue sewing up this piece of paper and then backstitch at the end. That is your pivots. The third sewing guide is just practicing curved lines. And again, line up the black line with the line on the presser foot, and You're gonna backstitch at the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the only suggestions I have with your curved lines is to go slow. Let your paper feed dogs take the paper through and keep your fingers to the left and right and just kind of go slow, trying to keep that black line lined up with the line that's on the presser foot. Once you get to the end, you can backstitch. And you will see that they aren't perfect, but that creates a nice curved line. Just go slow on those curves. The last one is a mixture of a curved line and pivots, and you're backstitching at the beginning and the end. And so you will kind of incorporate all of those into this last stitch sheet. Okay, and so that is your 4th stitch sheet. Reminders to let the machine do the work. And once you sew on and backstitch, let the feed dogs take, look, I can sew without my fingers on there. My fingers are merely there to guide the paper through. So keep your fingers nice and fluffy and light, all right? And you will complete all 4 stitch sheets and turn them in.